Welcome you all. Today we are going to discuss about the topic proteins. In this chapter we are dealing with the classification of proteins, structure of proteins, primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary and biological functions of proteins. Proteins are the basis of structure and function of life. They are the most abundant organic molecules of the living system. They are present in each and every part of the cell. Protein is a Greek word. Proteos means holding the first place. Proteins act as enzymes, hormones, blood clotting factors, immunoglobulins, membrane receptors, storage proteins. They also have an important role in genetic control, muscle contraction, and respiration. Proteins are otherwise called polymers of amino acids or polypeptides. This is the outline classification of the proteins. Proteins are mainly divided into simple, conjugated and derived proteins. Simple proteins, under that globular proteins and scleroproteins. Again it is divided into two. Conjugated proteins, nucleoproteins, glycoproteins, lipoproteins, phosphoproteins, chromoproteins and metalloproteins come under conjugated proteins. Under derived proteins, primary derived proteins and secondary derived proteins. Primary derived proteins, coagulated proteins, proteins, metaproteins. Under secondary proteins, secondary derived proteins, proteases, peptones, polypeptides and peptides. Now under globular proteins, albumins, globulins, glutenins, prolamines, histones, globins, protamines, lectins. All these come under globular proteins. Scleroproteins, collagens, elastin and keratin. Now we are going to see the examples of the globular proteins. Globular proteins comes under the category of simple proteins. Under globular proteins, albumins, globulins, glutenins, gliadin, protamine, histones and lectins are there. These prolamines, that is otherwise called as gliadins. Under albumins, there are so many examples given here. First one is serum albumin, lactalbumin of milk, myoalbumin of muscles, egg albumin. Next one, globulins. Globulin of egg, it is called vitellin, plasma globulin, serum globulin. Under glutenins, glutenin in wheat, origenin in rice, and under gliadins, gene of corn and gliadin from wheat. These two are otherwise called as prolamines. The next one is protamines. The examples of protamines are salmine from salmon sperm and sturine from sturgeon. Next, histones, thymus histones are the examples. Lectins, which are exemplified with concanavalin A and agglutinin. Second class under the classification of proteins, second one is conjugated proteins. Under that one, nucleoproteins, glycoproteins, lipoproteins, phosphoproteins, chromoproteins and metalloproteins are included. Nucleoproteins, nucleic acid is the prosthetic group, whereas in glycoproteins, carbohydrate is the prosthetic group. In lipoprotein, lipid is the prosthetic group. In phosphoprotein, phosphoric acid is the prosthetic group. In chromoproteins, colored by nature, and metalloproteins, they contain metal such as iron, chromium, zinc, copper, etc. So proteins along with any of these component, together we are calling them as conjugated proteins. Hence all these come under the category conjugated proteins. As we discuss now about the new conjugated proteins, now here we are studying about the examples under each category. Under nucleoproteins, nucleohistones and nucleoprotamines are the examples. For glycoproteins, mucin of saliva, ova mucoid of egg white, serum albumin and serum globulin. For lipoproteins, serum lipoproteins are the examples. Phosphoproteins, casein of milk and vitellin of egg comes under phosphoproteins. Next one is chromoproteins, hemoglobin, cytochrome, flavoprotein, chlorophyll. Next, metalloproteins, carbonic anhydrase containing the metal zinc, ceruloplasmin containing the metals copper. Derived proteins are of two types. One is primary derived protein and the second one is secondary derived protein. Primary derived proteins are denatured or coagulated or first hydrolyzed products of proteins, whereas secondary derived proteins are degraded due to the breakdown of the peptide products of proteins. So here the primary derived proteins examples are coagulated proteins, proteins and metaproteins, whereas the examples for secondary derived proteins are proteases, peptones, polypeptides and peptides. Linear sequence of individual amino acids in a polypeptide chain is known as the primary structure of protein. The amino acids are held together in a protein by covalent peptide bonds. So now what is meant by a peptide bond? How it is formed? For example, see here, this is amino acid 1 and this is amino acid 2. For each amino acid, it is having an N-terminal end and C-terminal end. Carboxy group, if it is there, then it is called as the C-terminal end. If amino group is there, then it is called as the N-terminal end. NH3+, this is N-terminal, this is C-terminal. Here, this is the second amino acid and the basic difference what we have written here is R1 and R2. Now, these two amino acids combine together after losing a water molecule. Here a bond is formed between the carboxy terminal of one amino acid and amino terminal of the second amino acid. So this green bond shown here with the green sketch, that is the peptide bond in between the carboxy group of the first amino acid and amino group of the second amino acid. So now this structure is called as the dipeptide. This is called as the peptide bond formation. This is the figure showing the peptide bond formation between the amino acid valine and alanine. So this structure is the structure of the amino acid valine and this structure is the amino acid structure alanine. So these two combines together and here a peptide bond is formed between the carboxy group of the valine and amino group of the alanine here. Now this is the peptide bond. So it has shown here C double bond O NH. In between the C double bond O and NH there is a bond formed after losing a water molecule and this is called as the peptide bond. And now this is the free amino acid end and this is the free carboxy end. Now this whole structure we are calling it as valinyl alanine. We came to know that the linear sequence of individual amino acids in a polypeptide chain is a primary structure. How to determine the primary structure? So determination of primary structure involves three steps. Determination of amino acid composition, first step. Second one, degradation of proteins into smaller fragments. Third step, determination of amino acid sequence. Under the first step, determination of amino acid composition, here we are doing the protein hydrolysis and also identifying the amino acids by chromatography technique. The second one is degradation of proteins into smaller fragments. Here diacetyl chloride and urea are used for this second procedure. The third one is determination of amino acid sequence. Two methods are there. They are Sanger method and Edman method. Under the first step, degradation of proteins into smaller fragments, liberation of polypeptides takes place by treatment with urea or guanidine hydrochloride, which disrupts the non-covalent bonds and dissociates the protein into polypeptide chain. The number of polypeptide chains can be identified by diacetyl chloride. It specifically binds with the N-terminal amino acid to form diacetyl polypeptides, which on hydrolysis yields N-terminal diacetyl amino acid. The number of diacetyl amino acids produced is equal to the number of polypeptide chains in a protein. Breakdown of the polypeptide into fragments. Enzymatic cleavage. Trypsin Here cyanogen bromide is given here. Cleaving of the peptide hands. So cleavage of the trypsin at lysine and arginine. Sequence determination using the Edman of peptides. Similarly here cleavage with cyanogen bromide at methionine. Cyanogen bromide cleaves at methionine, whereas trypsin cleaves at lysine and arginine. So later the sequence is determined by using the Edman procedure. So these are both are the cleavages. This is the figure explaining about the dimensions of the fully extended polypeptide chain. So here C double bond O NH. This is one peptide bond. Again CHR2 C double bond O NH. This is second peptide bond. CHR2 C double bond O NH. This is third peptide bond. And here we are not discussing about the peptide bonds. Here we are discussing about the dimensions. So here in between the nitrogen and hydrogen, the bond length is 0.1 nanometers. Whereas in between the carbon and nitrogen, that is the peptide bond, here the bond length is 0.132 nanometers. Whereas in between the carbon and oxygen, there is a double bond. Here the bond length is 0.123 nanometers. And here this distance between the first carbon of one amino acid and the first carbon of the second amino acid, here the distance between the two alpha carbon atoms is 0.36 nanometers. Regarding the bond angle, here if you see, the bond angle here is 121, here it is 122 and here it is 117. Whereas around nitrogen, 120, 120, 120. Here the bond angle is like that. Whereas at CHR1 or CHR2, the bond angle is 110 degrees. So this is regarding the bond angles and bond length in a polypeptide chain. So regarding the determination of the amino acid sequence, there are two procedures. First one is with Sanger's reagent and second one is with Edman's reagent. Sanger's reagent means fluorodinitrobenzene, FDNB, 1-fluoro 2,4-dinitrobenzene. See here the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 benzene. So at the first position there is a fluorine, at the second position nitro group NO2 and also at the fourth position NO2. So 1-fluoro 2,4-dinitrobenzene is otherwise called as Sanger's reagent. To this Sanger's reagent, with the protein which is wants to identify the amino acid sequence is labeled and is subjected to hydrolysis. We are going to get a product called as dinitrophenyl amino acid. So this is the structure of this one, and later we are going to identify it by chromatography technique. So this is the first method using the Sanger's reagent. Next one is Edman's reagent. This is Edman's reagent. Here also this is Edman's reagent with N-terminal amino acid of the peptide to form a phenyl thiocarboxyl derivative, NC. S is thio. Edman's reagent, protein which is used for labeling the hydrolysis. We are going to get a phenyl thiohydroxyl amino acid. Here we are calling it as PTH. And later the sequence can be identified by chromatography. Edman reagent reacts with the N-terminal amino acid of the peptide to form a phenyl thiocarboxyl carbamyl derivative on treatment with mild acid. Phenyl thiohydroxyl amino acid is liberated with Edman reagent and a peptide can be sequentially degraded, liberated N-terminal amino acids one after the another. Next, what is secondary structure of a protein? The conformation of a polypeptide chain by twisting or folding is referred as a secondary structure. It is of two types. One is alpha helix, second one is beta pleated. Alpha means the first structure and hence we named it as alpha helix, and immediately after alpha the next structure what it is called as beta, and hence the name beta pleated. Indian scientist Ramachandran made a significant contribution in understanding the spatial arrangement of the polypeptide chain. Alpha helix was proposed by Pauling and Corey. Helix is stabilized by hydrogen bonding. The hydrogen bonds are formed between hydrogen atom attached to the peptide N and O atom attached to the peptide C. Hydrogen bonds are collectively strong. All the peptide bonds participate in hydrogen bonding. Each turn of the alpha helix contains 3.6 amino acids and it travels a distance of 0.54 nanometers. The spacing of each amino acid is 0.15 nanometers. The right-handed helix is more stable than the left-handed helix. Proline and certain acidic amino acids such as aspartic acid, glutamic acid and basic amino acids such as lysine, arginine, histidine interfere with alpha helix structure. Example, keratin, myoglobin, etc. So here these small indications show the CHR representation. Alpha structure is the first one, whereas beta structure is the second one, and hence the name beta. And here the beta structure is like a sheet-like structure, and here we are calling it as beta pleated sheet. It is the second type of the protein structure. It comprises two or more segments of fully extended peptide chain. The hydrogen bonds are formed between the neighboring segments of the polypeptide chains. The surface of the beta sheet appears pleated and hence the name pleated sheets. The hydrogen bonds are perpendicular to the polypeptide backbone in contrast to the alpha helix. The hydrogen where they are parallel to the backbone. The beta sheet is formed by two or more polypeptide chains aligned laterally and stabilized by the hydrogen bonds. The adjacent beta strands are arranged either parallel or anti-parallel. Here the beta strands are arranged anti-parallel, that means N terminal and C terminal. Here it is C terminal and N terminal. So here we are having anti-parallel beta pleated sheet, whereas here all the N terminal on one side and C terminal on the other, and this is called as the parallel beta pleated sheet. It is the three-dimensional arrangement of the protein structure. It is the compact structure with hydrophobic side chains held interior, while hydrophilic groups are on the surface of the protein molecule, which ensures stability. Bonds involved in this tertiary structure are hydrogen bonds, disulfide bonds, electrostatic interactions and hydrophobic interactions. Tertiary structure refers to the folding of the domain. Here domain is a basic unit of protein structure function. A polypeptide chain with 200 amino acids has two or more domains. The bonds involved in tertiary structure are disulfide bonds, hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic bonds and electrostatic bonds. There are four types of bonds in the tertiary structure. The first one here is disulfide bond. So in between the two chains, polypeptide chains, two sulfur groups are there. In between them there is a bond and hence it is called as a disulfide bond. So due to this, the formation of the disulfide bond, the protein is having a folded structure. The next one is hydrogen bond. Here also in between the two peptide chains, for the hydrogen bond is formed between the oxygen of the carboxy group and also when it is attached to the nitrogen of the amino group in another chain. So this is one hydrogen bond and this is another hydrogen bond. So hydrogen bonds also play a role for the rigid structure. The next one here is hydrophobic bonds. Here the structure is this one is isoleucine structure, whereas this one is leucine. In between these two, there is an interaction that is called as the hydrophobic interaction, and that is called here as represented here is with this color. So this is the hydrophobic bond we are calling here. The next one is electrostatic bond. Here generally we use it to call as ionic interactions. So in between the amino group NH3 plus and COO minus, in between these two ions, there are electrostatic interactions, and the bond formed between them is called as the electrostatic bond. Here it is an aspartate, and here this is lysine. The carboxy group of aspartate and the amino group of the lysine, this is positive charge and this is negative charge. In between these two, there are electrostatic attractions that made them to come together, and hence the bond formed there is called as the electrostatic bond. Now the last structure is called as the quaternary structure, which is the arrangement of the polypeptides subunits in the protein. This is stabilized by the hydrophobic interactions, hydrogen bonds and electrostatic interactions. These are the 4 polypeptide subunits which are separated, but due to these bonds or interactions, they will come together and they may be collectively appears. And this is the quaternary structure. Majority of the proteins are composed of polypeptide chains. Some of these proteins consist of 2 or more polypeptides which may be identical or unrelated. Such proteins are called as oligomers or oligoproteins. Hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic interactions and ionic bonds are there in between monomeric units. Each unit here we are calling them as monomeric units. These oligomeric proteins play a significant role in the regulation of metabolism and cellular function. Example, hemoglobin, lactate dehydrogenase, aspartate transcarbamylase are the examples for the quaternary structure of a protein. So regarding the structure of proteins, the first one is here, primary structure is the sequence of amino acids. We are going to get a linear chain is shown here. And the primary structure leads to secondary structure, which is the regular arrangement of the amino acids located near each other in primary structure. So we are getting here this type of structure, alpha helix or beta pleated. So secondary structure consists of alpha helix structure, beta sheet and some non-repetitive structures also. Secondary structure leads to tertiary structure, and it is the 3-dimensional shape of the folded chain, and here it is shown like that, folded chain. And this is stabilized by hydrophobic interactions, hydrogen bonds, electrostatic interactions and disulfide bonds. And tertiary structure may lead to quaternary structure, which is the arrangement of the polypeptide subunits in the protein. So here each one is a separated subunit. They are stabilized by hydrophobic interactions, hydrogen bonds and electrostatic interactions.